3 days before my brother Noah's graduation, my mom called while I was finishing work. "Just so you know, Carol's sister is coming with her, so I gave her your ticket." I thought I had misheard her. "My ticket? We only have 6. I asked about the other extra ticket. "Your dad gave it to his business friend. He helped Noah get that summer job." So mom and dad had seats. Grandma had 1. Carol's sister, and dad's friend had the other 3. Everybody had a seat except me. I asked if Noah knew. Mom paused. "He has enough going on this week." "So he didn't." Then she said, "Carol has known him since he was little. You see Noah all the time. I'm his sister." She sighed and told me I could watch the live stream. Then she immediately changed subjects. "What time can you be here Saturday? The rentals are coming in the morning, and I still need you to finalize the catering count and help get the tables and decorations set up." I just sat there for a second. My place at Noah's graduation had been easy to give away. My place running his party was apparently still guaranteed. "You still expect me to run the party?" "Of course, you already agreed." "I agreed before you gave away my graduation ticket." Mom said those were 2 completely different things. I told her I wasn't coordinating the party anymore. I wasn't canceling anything or creating problems for the vendors. I would send her every contact, every quote, and the planning sheet I had made. From then on, she and Dad could handle it. Mom laughed. "Okay, Claire, when you're done being upset, call me." I'm not joking. She said she had to go, so I opened my laptop, sent her the planning sheet, and forwarded the vendor information. That was when the first problem became visible. The caterer was waiting on a final head count. The table rental was still only a quote because Dad had complained about the price and told me not to confirm it yet. The balloon order hadn't been placed because Mom had changed her mind twice, and the tribute video for Noah was only half finished. None of those things were disasters. They were just unfinished work. Work my parents had assumed was already handled because I was the one handling it. I'm 28. Noah is 18. With a 10-year gap between us, I was old enough to remember him as a toddler and old enough to babysit him when our parents went out. I genuinely like my brother, which mattered here. This wasn't me looking for a reason to punish him. When he got accepted into college, I was the first person he called after Mom and Dad. And when he asked if I could help make his graduation party feel less like one of Dad's regular backyard barbecues and more like something actually for him, I had said yes. I also happen to be good at that kind of work. I'm an operations coordinator for a nonprofit. Calendars, vendors, spreadsheets, and last-minute problems are normal for me. Over the years, that had quietly turned me into the organized person in my family. Restaurant reservations, cakes, holiday logistics. Who was bringing what? Who needed a ride? I usually helped because I wanted to. Somewhere along the way, my family stopped noticing the difference between me volunteering and me being assigned. For Noah's party, Mom wanted about 50 people. Dad wanted everything cheap. Noah mostly wanted everybody to stop asking him questions, so I had been the person between all 3 of them, until that phone call. The next morning, Dad called me. He started with, "What's going on with your mother?" I told him. He said Mom hadn't meant anything by giving my seat away. I asked him what part had been accidental. He avoided that question and said, "Nobody said you have to work." I reminded him that Mom expected me there before 8 Saturday morning to receive rentals they had not even booked yet. He was quiet for a second. Then he said, "You're better at this stuff." There it was. Apparently I wasn't important enough to keep a seat. I was important enough to make 50 people appear in a backyard with food, chairs, decorations, and a schedule. Dad tried telling me the graduation ceremony would be boring anyway. That made me laugh. Apparently it was interesting enough for them to invite 3 people who were Noah's siblings. I told Dad I was still coming to the party. I would bring Noah a gift. I would be a guest. Everything else was theirs. Dad said I was putting them in a bad position. I reminded him that I had sent every contact and every note I had. He said that's not the same as you doing it. Exactly. That afternoon, Noah texted me. "Did Mom really give your ticket away?" I said yes. A few minutes passed. Then he wrote, "I didn't know." A second message followed. "I'm sorry." I believed him. But I was still hurt that nobody had thought about where I was going to sit until 3 days before his graduation. Noah wasn't the one who made the decision, but he had grown up in the same family system I had. He was used to me being there. Used to me fixing things. Used to our parents deciding that Claire would figure it out. He asked if I wanted him to tell Carol not to come. For about 30 seconds, I wanted to say yes. Then I pictured my 18-year-old brother, 3 days before graduation, being forced to referee a fight our parents had created. I told him no. Graduate, we'll do something together later. He asked if I was still coming to the party. I said yes. Then he asked one careful question. Are you still making the video? I stared at that message. I had sorted through almost 200 photos for that tribute video because Mom had sent me blurry pictures, duplicates, and random images that had nothing to do with Noah. I was angry enough that deleting the whole project briefly sounded satisfying. I didn't delete it. I just didn't finish it. I told him, I'm not working on the party anymore. He replied, okay. Then, a minute later, I get it. That helped more than a big speech would have. Thursday night, Mom called twice. I answered the second time. She wanted to know where I had ordered the centerpieces. I didn't order them. What are we supposed to put on the tables? I don't know. You had a whole vision for this. I did. There was a long silence. I think that was the first time she understood I wasn't just upset and waiting for her to persuade me back into the job. Friday afternoon, Dad called again. The table company couldn't deliver at the time he wanted, unless he paid an extra fee. The barbecue place could still take the order, but Mom had missed the preferred deadline, and one of the sides she wanted wasn't available in the quantity she needed. Dad asked if I could call because I had been the original contact. I said no. Not because I wanted the party to fail, because I knew exactly how one phone call would go. If I handled the tables, then I was already helping. Then the food, then the decorations. Then the ice, then the video. And by Saturday morning, I would be standing in my parents' backyard with tape around my wrist, wondering where my boundary had gone. Dad finally said, so what are we supposed to do? Make the party you have time to make. And that was what they did. They dropped the rental tables and borrowed folding ones from 2 neighbors. They cut the guest list from around 50 people to about 30. Mom ordered grocery store platters to supplement the barbecue order. The elaborate centerpieces disappeared. So did the balloon setup. The tribute video became a framed graduation photo on the gift table. Nobody's future was ruined. The party just became smaller than the party my parents had imagined someone else would build for them. I did not attend Noah's graduation ceremony. I watched most of it on the live stream from my apartment. I had already taken the afternoon off work. I had already bought a dress. I told myself I was fine. I was. When Noah walked across the stage, the camera barely caught him. I took a screenshot anyway. That was the part my parents never seemed to understand. I wasn't devastated because I had missed sitting in a folding chair for 2 hours. I was hurt because someone had looked at 6 seats and decided mine was the easiest one to give away. The next afternoon, I arrived at my parents' house about 15 minutes after the party started. Not at 7:30 in the morning. Not carrying bins of decorations. Not with extension cords, scissors, tape, serving utensils, or a printed schedule. I had my purse and a small gift bag for Noah. Mom opened the door. She was wearing jeans and an old college sweatshirt with her hair still clipped up like she had been cleaning. She looked behind me, then she looked at my hands. Where's everything? I knew exactly what she meant. This is everything. I held up Noah's gift. Her face changed. You seriously came as a guest? Yes. Before she could answer, somebody inside called her name because they couldn't find more plastic forks. She closed her eyes for half a second and went back inside. The party was fine. It wasn't some dramatic collapse where the food caught fire and 50 people suddenly realized my parents were terrible. There were folding tables with mismatched chairs. The decorations were simple. There wasn't a video. The food came out later than planned because Dad was managing serving trays while trying to talk to relatives. Mom spent most of the first hour moving between the kitchen and backyard. People still laughed. Noah still opened gifts. Grandma still cried. A few people left earlier than expected because there weren't enough shaded seats once the afternoon got hot. It looked exactly like what it was. A family party organized quickly by 2 people who had expected someone else to organize it. At one point, Mom came over while I was talking to one of Noah's friends. "Can you just handle the cake? I need to refill drinks." For a second, my body almost moved automatically. Someone needed help. I helped. That habit was old, then I stopped myself. "Dad's standing by the kitchen, ask him." She lowered her voice. "Are you going to keep this up all day? I told you I was coming as a guest. You're his sister." I looked at her. I didn't give her some perfect comeback. I just said, "I know." She understood. Her face tightened and she walked away. Later, Noah pulled me aside and opened my gift. I had bought him a good backpack for college, the one he had shown me months earlier and then decided was too expensive. He hugged me. Then he said, "I wish you had been there yesterday." "I do too." He apologized again. This time, I told him what I hadn't said before. "I'm not angry at you for graduating. I'm angry that everybody assumed I'd still do the work after I got cut out of the part that mattered to me." He nodded. He didn't defend Mom. He didn't attack her either. That was enough. After most people left, I helped Noah carry his gifts upstairs. I did not clean the kitchen. I did not fold tables. I did not pack leftovers. When I came downstairs, Dad was in the backyard staring at a pile of chairs. "You're leaving?" "Yes." He nodded. Then he said, "Your mother is really hurt." That irritated me more than I expected. About the party, about how you handled all of this. I reminded him I hadn't canceled anything or taken anything from them. I had stopped doing the work. Dad shook his head. "Family helps family." That was the one moment where I could have given him a speech. I had several available. Instead I said, "Family also gets a seat." Then I left. Mom didn't speak to me for almost 2 weeks. When she finally did, she still didn't fully apologize. She said she understood why I had been upset, but she thought I had made my point too aggressively. I asked what she thought I should have done instead. She said I could have helped with the party and talked to her afterward. Which was exactly the arrangement she had wanted from the beginning. I absorb the disrespect. I do the work. Then, when nobody needs anything from me, I'm allowed to explain that it hurt. I told her I wasn't doing that anymore. The conversation ended awkwardly. Dad still thinks the whole thing became bigger than it needed to. Carol apparently never knew the ticket she used had originally been mine. I never contacted her about it, and I still don't know exactly what Mom told her. Noah and I are fine. A few weeks later, he took me to lunch with money from his graduation gifts. He complained the entire time about how expensive the restaurant was, then refused to let me pay. Before he left for college, he gave me one of his graduation photos. It's on my desk now. Not because everything is repaired. It is, but my relationship with him was never the part I needed to withdraw from. The job was. A few months later, Mom texted the family group about Thanksgiving. Normally, within 10 minutes, I would get another message asking if I could make the reservation, bring 2 dishes, pick up Grandma, or come early to help set up. That year, no second message came. Eventually, Mom texted me privately. She just asked if I was coming. I said yes. I showed up with 1 pie, nothing else.